It may well be a top four battle, Sydney v Carlton, Ross. It should be a beauty for Friday night football. You see two tough players there, Hewitt and Parker. That's where I want to start the midfield battle. And this is where I think Carlton can get a hold of the Sydney Swans. They've developed a really tough midfield, Ross.
Yeah, and I think that's their point of difference this year. The Swans typically bash Cripps all day, so fatigue's late, and they take out the runner Walsh. But we saw last week, Walsh only had 6 possessions, I think, in the first half. It was Chera and Kennedy and Hewitt that did the damage. So it's a different proposition for the Swans this year. But Mills BOG last week, Parker up and about. It's going to be a big challenge in there.
Yeah, Mills v Cripps, that's worth just going to the footy just for that. Just want to look at how Sydney have broken down up until they played Essendon and Ross. The corridor use was shut down by Brisbane and the Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah, teams that do their homework, they force it in. They love 45s and get the overlap run quick into their forwards. But teams are going to school on them. There they are forcing it through. The Suns closed off the corridor. Teams that do this have created turnovers against the Swans and end up with victory.
But if you don't do it, they'll just cut you to
Well,
rivers,
the other thing, they're very expansive. They lengthen the field very well. They run. They've always got width out there to use, and they score heavily and quickly. So don't want to get beaten by what you know. Close off the corridor.
We're looking for a weakness in Carlton. You know, so their midfield is a huge strength, but with a few injuries down back, Ross, you think they could be exposed potentially for height?
Yeah, I think they know. Just down there, Bruce, he just dropped an easy mark. They know they're not that tall and they can be stretched. Just here, George Yardy's top of the square. That's young bloke Kemp behind him. And here, another big contested mark. There's Sard. So they're undersized down there. Is it going to be Plowman? Is it going to be Doherty? You know, they can really... The Swans, Franklin, Hewitt, not Hewitt, Heaney, Hayward, McDonald can get after him, I think. That's their area, so the midfield's pressure's got to be elite.
What I can't wait for is the small forwards of the Sydney Swans versus the running backs of the Carlton Footy Club. We see Heaney, he's having a sensational season, and now Papley's come back into the mix, and you just touched on other players. You see the combination here, Heaney and Papley. So they're just dynamic players who are in really good form. Both could be All-Australians by the end of the year. But then you've got, what about the story of Sam Doherty in his return at Adam Sard, Ross?
Well, I did this game last week. He was incredible. A lot of intercept marks, and then his ability to get forward and really just kick the sealer with a few minutes to go in the fourth quarter. It's an inspiring story. But him and Sard together, you know, they lost Williams, I know that, but they're going to have to be able to handle the Swans with their pressure.
I'm tipping Carlton at Marvel. What about you, Ross?
I think the Swans get it done.
The Swans get it done. OK, now the second game, Geelong v Port Adelaide. Geelong have always been consistent for so long, but trying to take a look at this win-loss and the concerns. They've gone win-loss, win-loss, win-loss for the last 6 weeks. Yeah,
but their losses, 10 points, 3 points, 12. So they're very consistent to the Cats. And he'll be looking at them to get rid of that one bad quarter that's been costing them.
All right, talk about that one bad quarter. Where did it go wrong against the Saints?
Well, uniquely, and it was all stoppages. There's Marshall. So they kicked 7 goals for the quarter. 5 of them come from stoppages. But you see here, the Saints pressure and then getting it in quickly, causing chaos. It's really about contest out of clearance, gives you ground position, puts your opposition defenders under pressure. And the Saints kicked a couple of forward 50 stoppage goals, but they kept it alive and used their legs. We're going to see a couple more.
5 goals, 3 there, Ross, from in one quarter.
You can just see out of the middle, you can see the defenders, they all get separated one-on-one, they come back with the flight, and that's the chaos teams will be looking for and Port Adelaide will be looking for. And Port, we know, are a really good stoppage team. They use legs and they use handball to chain out. And if they need to get it right inside, get their contest method on the inside right and balance on the outside, the Cats. And Reece Stanley needs to stand up in the ruck.
What a return it's been for Port Adelaide. Lost their first 5, win their next 4, and they weren't taking many marks inside 50, but the last 2 weeks it's all turned.
That's incredible. First 6 weeks averaging 9 marks, and we're saying, what about their forwards? But now they're passing. That's Marshall, 6'4". Look at the weighted kick.
Wines
the kick draws the lead, and that's Wines playing out of the square. He kicked a couple. So they've tweaked their method. I love it when we think of it, they're just long bomb into Charlie Dixon and Crum, but now they're playing an expansive and quality entry game, and it's going to really challenge the Cats down there.
I'm going Geelong down there.
I think Port can get it done.
OK, we're 2 different ones there. And the last game, Essendon v Richmond. And look at this record. When you talk about wanting to stand for something, the Bombers' record against Richmond, Caro thinks we're firing them up, but it's not good. So the last time, they've lost the last 12 against Richmond. They haven't won since 2014 and they've been belted.
Well, I think that tells the story. We can talk about the last 4 years of the Tigers, but that goes all the way back to earlier in the decade. So Essendon are the Tigers' bunnies, and they'll be fierce early, but Richmond have got the wherewithal and the quality and the leadership and the system to get this done.
I questioned Tom Lynch a few years ago, and it was about his movement, but full credit to him. We know he can do that, Tom Lynch, but what I love about it is his movement now. So he did it at either end, but this goal here, it's like the movement back when he was at the Gold Coast Suns.
His agility, his turning, his bending, and you're right, he'd lost that. So I'd love to know what they've done with him, what program they've given him, and what's freed up, because he's a different player. He's back to the Tom Lynch we know and love.
17 goals in the last 3 weeks. I'm tipping the Tigers, Ross.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one, Lloyd.